South Africa.
Well, the time is just gone 9:21 a.m. as we head into the second half of today's edition of News and Views, and we now are going to take a look at the Minara Chamber of Commerce, and they've launched the search for South Africa's top business leaders. Now, we all know by now that the business world has actually changed, and I'm sure Minara would be able to articulate this change, because we're living in an evolving environment, an ever-changing environment, and an environment where the economies of countries, and a country like South Africa as well, is in a dire situation. But also from a business point of view, it does require a resilience, but also at the same time, it requires innovative approach. There are just so many challenges in business, and what actually makes a business successful, what makes a leader successful. And this is what Minara has been doing over the years, recognizing the achievements of business leaders. And this is the reason why we are talking this morning with the chair of the Minara Awards Committee, Suleman. Bhai, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jummah Mubarak to you and welcome.
Wa alaikum salam, Jummah Mubarak to you and your viewers and listeners. Jazakallah for having us on the show this morning.
Yes, before we talk about this year's event and your search for the top business leaders, as I mentioned in my introduction, Minara has been doing this for many, many years. And I suppose each year presents a different dynamic. Each year presents a different situation. And particularly in recent years, where we see the whole business climate that has changed quite drastically and quite dramatically.
Yeah, it's challenging times at the moment, unfortunately. Business is not easy to get into, and I think the most important thing for the Minara Awards is to recognize people that have really struggled, started from nowhere, and had all the challenges and have been successful. And I think one of the biggest challenges is to get people to basically be nominated, because often people feel that they don't want to be nominated and they don't need the recognition. But I think it's so critical and important that we identify and recognize many of the leaders or leading businessmen, professionals, and the youth and the women, of course, to basically use them as role models and to mentor others. So, it's such an important thing, the Minara Awards. But again, like you mentioned, the environment is becoming more and more challenging, in South Africa, because there's multiple issues here. And of course, we all know now there's such a thing as Islamophobia. People are just looking at the Muslim businessmen and thinking they exploiting the people. They think they're employing foreigners, and, you all tarred with the same type of brush. So it's becoming quite a challenge at the moment. So I think it's important that, first of all, it's important that businesses, Muslim businesses, and any business that wants to do business with the Muslim community should join the Minara Chamber. That way, unity is strength. So we all need to be part of a process where we can take on the challenges that we face. There's so many challenges. I mean, take into account even this year, you have a situation where you have the local government elections. And every time you have local government elections, you start having problems emanating from everybody knows about March and that time. You're getting so many different. I mean, now you've got something else. I think it's some legal something, or the LLE or something they call themselves. They're starting to march to Muslim businesses. So I think at the end of the day, it's important that we all work together. But at the same time, I think the Minara Awards has been in existence from 2009. Beside the COVID period, we've had it every year, the awards dinner. And, the most important thing is we need people to be nominated, people to participate, people to basically be involved in sponsorships and that type of thing. So, I'm glad that you've given us a platform, and we need many, many more nominees. I mean, we've extended the date till the 15th of August now to ensure that people can respond and be nominated. Many people feel that they don't need to be, don't want to be nominated. They don't want to be in the in the limelight and that type of thing for whatever reason. But I think it's important.
Yes, certainly. And also, I think, Soliba, what's important to understand is for those who intend nominating people, and as you've, search for these business leaders to come to the fore to be nominated, what are some of the key issues? What are some of the key considerations that people who want to nominate these top business leaders, what is the criteria? What are you looking for?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is, we have an independent panel of judges. So they basically look at, the basically A is where do they start off? For example, and then there's different categories. Obviously, we look at startups, we're looking at small, medium, and large business. We look at professionals, we look at, women as such. We look at community builders. So each category has a different type of criteria. For example, in a startup, you'd see what is innovative about the type of business? Is it successful? How do they build up? Where do they start off from? How do they, I think one of the important aspects is how do they actually interact with the community? How do the community perceive them? Obviously, to an extent, you try to get some information on the financials as well. So I think the important aspects, for example, if you take businesses in the different levels, I mean, you look at the turnovers and you look at the people that are behind it and look at where did they start off and that type of thing. So each one, a community builder, what have they done to build the relationship? How have they uplifted the community? To take a professional now, where have they started and what impact have they had on the on their peers and on the clients and that type of thing. So each one has a different, like women now. You the challenges facing women in certain cases is more than the challenges facing men. And how do they survive? How do they balance their life between being a professional, being an employer, or being an MD or whatever? And how do they balance that with their own home lives? And how do they manage that type of scenario? So each one has a different criteria. So, and the judges kind of look at everything, and if they need more information, they get more information. If for example, if you're in manufacturing, is it different? How do you survive? How many staff do you have, and that type of thing?
No, absolutely. And I think this is very, very important. And it's also actually, I suppose, Minara tying in this with the Islamic principles that actually govern business, because, you speak about so many things which actually ties in with things like ethics, with being,
Absolutely.
morals. I mean, those are absolutely important. And also at the same time, from a compliance perspective, a corporate social responsibility, how much you're giving back to the community as well.
Yeah, that's that's very important because I think when it comes to Minara, we basically have two pillars of Minara. One is basically what do you do for yourself and how do you run your business for your own personal gain, but then how do you impact on the community? And I think that's very important. I think the how like you were saying, it's so important to be involved in upliftment of the disadvantaged. And then I think our Muslim businesses are really in the forefront of that. And we've seen that with our Sherwood Park, with the refugees having to accumulate at the Sherwood Park and a drive-in. I mean, our community were there in full swing. It wasn't just the business guys. They were the professionals, and they were the men in the street, and everybody else was all there. And up to recently, they've been going up to Messina as well. So that's a balance. I think this is as I said, there's two pillars to it. What's the benefit to the members, and what's the benefit to the community? And I think this is the type of balance we try to bring about. And you're right, from an ethical and Islamic and a professional point of view, how do you run your business? Is it run in a manner that's basically adheres to Islamic principles? And I think that's been the foundation of the Minara Chamber. It's been there for us to conscientize our communities to do business the correct way. Obviously we have people that sometimes we have some of our community members out there in the limelight for the wrong reasons. But sometimes it's not for us to judge anyway.
No, absolutely. Now, Saliba, let's just talk a bit about the actual nomination process at this point in time. You mentioned closing date, the 15th of August. For people wanting to nominate, what should they be doing? In what format? Should they submit their nominations? What should be the key areas of focus in nominating business leaders?
Well, basically, I think it depends on the categories as I mentioned earlier on. I mean, if you are in business, if you're a startup, and if I think there's amazing that the number of our Muslim business men and women around the country that are in the small dorpis or even if it's in the smaller towns and that type of thing, or they're in the home businesses. If any one of the listeners and the viewers know of people that are there, uh, as I said, the different categories from a business point of view. You got the startups, you got the small, medium, and large businesses. It's important that our community identifies those, and you can even nominate yourself. I mean, our website is www.minara.org.za. So they could go into the website and basically, get all the details in the website. We also circulate our criteria and other information on the social media. It's on Facebook, it's on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and that type of thing. So it's all posted out there. And you can also phone Amina at 031-208-1898. So she can, give more information. And then, of course, I mean, if they have to call the Salam Media Studios, I'm sure you'd be able to direct them to the Minara Chamber as such. So there's different ways of being nominated. So you can be nominated, by others, or you could nominate yourself. There's no real problem there.
Yes, perfect. And obviously, you are sticking to the deadline, so that 15th is going to be the cutoff point.
Yeah, because if you know that the function and the awards dinner is on the 23rd of October. So the judges, we've got an independent panel of judges that none of the directors are involved in judging. You got a great three independent panel of judges that have come from very professional background. They've been doing it for a number of years. Uh, so they need time to identify, need time to collate information, need time to follow up and get more information because you have to do a thorough job. And but I think this is important. And I think so. In fact, just to tell you, we would know, like everybody else, who the finalists are, and we wouldn't know who the actual winners are until that's announced on that day. So, we try to keep it as independent as possible. The things you often people will phone you and I've been nominated and that type of thing. And for us, it's too many people and we can't be involved in deciding who wins and who doesn't win. So I think
Well,
this is important.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. In fact, I've had first-hand experience of this. I've attended a number of the events as well, and clearly, obviously, it's a very, it's a very exciting event as well, but also riveting as well, full of suspense as well. So, Alhamdulillah, on that day, really, it's just, takes you to another level. Just some final thoughts, Soliba, before we take leave of you.
Yeah, I think the important thing is even if you're not, if you're a finalist and you're not even a winner, you're still a winner because you've been identified as an important, a person in the business sector or in the professional sectors. So we often tell people, don't be disappointed if you didn't win because you can only have one winner. But if you're a finalist, you've actually achieved quite a bit. And often you find that the people that have won or people that have been in finalists have gone on to win other prizes and other accolades. And it's happened so many times that people that are recognized in the Minara Chamber Awards go on and basically become winners elsewhere because obviously they have something in them and their success is noticed as well. But I think the important thing here, we need sponsors, we need people to take tables, to make it more exciting. It's a support to the chamber. And this is what keeps the chamber going for the next 12 months. The funding that we raise here is used to run the office and our expenses for the year. So I think it's important that the community, A, supports us, but B, become a member of the chamber, identify people, because people feel what's in there for us. But the fact of the matter is, if you work together, you join hands, you're able to be able to meet the challenges of the what's happening in the country and the world. I mean, it's great in the Islamophobia is becoming worse and worse since the time our government has taken, the Zionists to the ICJ. You find that it's becoming more and more worse. There's undercurrent across the country. Everywhere you turn, you find that they're targeting Muslim businesses. So we have to join hands, become a member of the chamber. I appeal to everybody out there that's listening or the viewers, join the chamber, become part of this. We've got branches in Johannesburg, Cape Town, and in Durban. And let's work together to make things happen, for our country. It's not about protecting Muslim business. It's about protecting our right as business people and to ensure that there's no interference in the way we do business.
No, absolutely, absolutely, Saliba. In fact, I wish we could talk a lot more about some of these other challenges, but I'm sure we can do that on another platform with a Minara panel, just to delve into some of the detail and what Minara is all about and what the greater plan and objective is. But for now, we thank you. We say Jazakallah khairan so much, and once again, we appeal to those who are listening to our viewing as well that there is a cut-off time. There is the 15th of August, and you still have an opportunity. Go onto the website. There are social media platforms as well. Contact us here at Salam Media. That search for South Africa's top business leaders is on with the Minara of Chambers. Salibai, have yourself a wonderful Jummah as well. And once again, Jazakallah for your time.
Shukran. Thanks. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Solly Suleman, chairperson of the Minara Awards Committee, with us this morning. We're going to go for a break. We come back, we'll be joined by Member of Parliament in the National Assembly, Imran Subrati, against the meeting that was held with Firoz Kachalia, the acting Minister of Police, and just to understand what some of the outcomes are, and also in terms of unpacking some of the issues surrounding this meeting.